Hello everyone, this is part 3 of how to make Plants vs. Zombies in Scratch. In this video, I'll be improving our zombie and bullet collision and our plant placement, and I'll also add sun, which you can collect to purchase plants. If you haven't seen parts 1 or 2 yet, check them out, links are in the description below. But anyways, let's get started. So right now, we can select our pea shooter and place it anywhere on the grid. And once we place the pea shooter, then it starts shooting at the zombies. And as you can see, the zombies have some health, and once the zombies take enough shots, then the zombies will get destroyed. We can also place multiple pea shooters at once, and they are going to start shooting, just like that. But now one problem that we have is that if we have multiple zombies that are overlapping each other, then they are all going to be hit by the pea. However, we only want one zombie to be hit by a pea at a time. And this is not good if we have multiple zombies overlapping in our game, which we eventually will. So how do we fix this problem? Well, as you see here, we have 5 lanes. And for each of these lanes, we are going to keep track of the frontmost zombie. And only the frontmost zombie of each lane will be able to be hit by the peas. So let's do that. Let's go inside of the zombie sprite, and I'm going to go to variables and create 2 new lists. The first one I'm going to call furthest zombies X, and then click OK. And I'll also create a furthest zombies clone number, and click OK. And under this when flag clicked, let's first delete all of furthest zombies clone number, and also delete all of furthest zombies X. And let's drag it under here. Okay, so now we want the furthest zombie for each lane. So let's go to control and drag a repeat, and let's do repeat 5 for our 5 lanes. And let's drag this under here. And inside of the repeat, let's add, let's say 999 to the furthest zombies X. And let's add, let's say -1 to the furthest zombies clone number. And now if we just try the game out, then as you can see, we have these lists with these values. And the 999 and -1 is going to mean that there are no zombies in that lane. So now we want to update this list once there is a zombie. So inside of the zombie sprite, I'm going to first create a new variable, and I'll call this lane. And select for this by only, and click OK. Alright, so I'm going to drag this block this way a bit, and under this block, we want to drag a set lane to, let's say, just 1 for now. And inside of the go to XY, I'm going to drag lane inside of here. So right now, all of these zombies are spawning at the very top lane, just for testing purposes. So now we want to update lane 1 in each of these 2 lists with the furthest zombie. So inside of the zombie sprite, let's go to control and drag a when it stars a clone. And let's drag a forever loop and check if the zombie's X position, let's go to operators, is less than, let's go to variables, scroll down and drag an item 1 of block, and go to variables and drag lane. And let's do furthest zombies X. Then we are going to drag a replace item of block. And let's drag lane inside of there. And right click duplicate. And let's first replace item lane of furthest zombies X with, let's go to motion, the zombies X position. And also replace item lane of furthest zombies clone number with the zombies clone number. And we don't have a clone number variable for the zombie yet. So let's create a new variable, and I'll call it clone number, select for this sprite only, and click OK. So now under the when flag clicked, let's just set clone number to 1. And whenever we create a clone of myself, let's also change clone number by 1. And for now, I'm going to remove these blocks. Okay, so right now we just spawn a single zombie with clone number 1. And this zombie will spawn at lane 1. And this is going to record that zombie's X position and clone number, because it is currently the furthest zombie in that lane. Now, as you can see, lane 1 has this zombie's X position. And this zombie's clone number, which is 1, is set over here. Cool. And if we, let's say, spawn another zombie after a few seconds, then it's still going to keep track of this zombie as the furthest zombie, as you can see. So now using the clone number, we are only going to shoot at the furthest zombie's clone number. So let's go inside of the code. And over here, inside of the hit zombie, let's grab an if and surround the code and check if. Let's go to variables, grab an item of block, item lane of furthest zombie's clone number is equal to the current zombie's clone number. Then we are going to actually get hit by the pea shooter. And now let's also right click duplicate this if statement and surround it under the flash animation. So now let's just spawn the two zombies really close to each other, and it might do something like wait 0.1 seconds. So now we have two zombies overlapping, and even if both are touching the P, only the front one gets destroyed. But now one problem is that the later zombie just never gets destroyed. So how do we fix this? Well, we have to go back inside of the code, and once a zombie has less than 1 health, then we want to first delete this clone, and also we want to replace item lane of furthest zombie's X back to its original value, let's say 999. And we also want to replace item lane of furthest zombie's clone number to -1. And again, this is going to mean that there is currently no furthest zombie in this lane. And I'm also going to right click duplicate this code and drag it under the when I receive hit zombie, just like that. And let's try it out. So we have two zombies that are really close to each other, but we only shoot at the front one. And as you can see, it works. Awesome. So only the one that's slightly in front gets hit, and then the next one that is in front. And the lists also update based off of which zombie is currently the front zombie. So as you can see, now it is 2. So now let's try this with multiple zombies. So I'm going to do repeat 10, create clone of myself, change clone number by 1, and wait 0.1 seconds. And let's try it out. So now we have 10 zombies, which are all sort of overlapping, but only one of them gets hit at a time. And as you can see, the furthest zombie clone number is updating, and they all work just like normal, even with multiple pea shooters shooting at them. Awesome. So now we have the issue fixed. So now we can have as many zombies as we want, and as many pea shooters shooting them as we want. Just like that. And just to make sure that this works across all 5 lanes, now let's revert back to our original code. So let's set lane to pick random 1 to 5. And instead of this repeat, let's just do a forever loop. Alright, now let's try it out. And I'm also going to hide the 2 lists. And now we just have tons of zombies, but let's just add a lot of pea shooters here. And as you can see, there actually isn't too much lag, considering how many zombies we have on screen, but only the front zombie of each lane is getting hit. So as you can see, it works fine just like that. Awesome. Now one more thing I do want to add is that inside of the flash animation, I am also going to go to looks and set brightness to 0 right under the block over here. And now we should be fine. And now instead of wait 0.1 seconds, let's do it back to wait 5 seconds. And I'll also set its health back to 10. So now the next thing I want to do is that I want the pea shooter to not shoot if there's no zombies in that lane. So I don't want this pea shooter to shoot. So to fix this, let's go inside of the grid position sprite, and I'm going to create a new list. And I'll call this lane Y positions. And then click OK. And under this initialize block, let's delete all of lane Y positions. And I'm going to add Y position or Y pose to lane Y positions right over here. So now what this does is that when we play the game, then we should have the Y positions of each lane inside of this list. Cool. And since we know that the plant's Y positions are one of these 5 Y positions when we place them, then we can go inside of the plant code and over here, let's go to control, drag an if, and let's go to operators, drag a not, and drag it equals. And let's check if item, and then drag an item number of block inside of here, and check if item number of the plant's Y position in lane Y positions of furthest zombie's clone number, if that is not equal to -1, then we want the plant to shoot. So let's drag this if right over here. So every time right before the plant shoots out a bullet, we essentially check if there is a zombie in the lane. If there isn't, so if it's -1, that means that we don't want the plant to shoot. So now if we place a plant where there are no zombies, then it's not going to shoot. Otherwise, it is going to shoot, just like that. Cool. So now the game looks a bit better now, and everything seems to work just fine. Okay, now one thing is that since we created this lane Y positions list, we actually don't need the zombie spawn Y positions list in the zombie sprite anymore, because these two lists are essentially the same thing. So I'm actually going to remove all of this code, and I'm also going to right click and delete the zombie spawn Y positions list. And instead, when the zombie is spawned, for the Y position, let's go to item lane of lane Y positions. And now it should work the same. So the zombies should spawn in the correct lane. But the zombie's position is a bit too low, so I might add a bit. So let's go to operators, grab a plus, and let's just do something like +7. All right. Now let's try it out again. And the zombies should spawn in the correct position, just like that. Awesome. And I might make it go upwards a tiny bit more, so let's do +9. All right, and now as you can see, the zombies spawn in the correct position, just like normal. So now let's improve our plant selection screen. So I updated our starter project and added a few new sprites. So be sure to drag in the sun sprite and also the ready set plant sprite inside of your backpack. So now inside your project, let's open up your backpack and drag the 2 sprites inside of the game. Cool. So now inside of the plant selection screen, let's go to costumes and let's go to the sun sprite and then copy this entire thing. So Control C, and then go back to the plant selection screen, Control V, and now we have the sun sprite. And I'm going to select this spiky part and add an outline. Let's just say an outline of 4, and I'll make this a dark red. So something like this. Alright, now I'm going to select the whole thing and then click Group. And now we can drag it down over to the plant selection screen. And I'm also going to shrink it a bit. And I might actually make the outline a bit smaller, so I'm going to ungroup and then select the outline again. Let's make it size 3. And now we want to move the pea shooter icon to the right. So let's go to the pea shooter icon, go to Code, and let's just drag it over here. So that's x negative 157. So go to x negative 157. And I'm going to go back to the plant selection screen and drag the sun around here. And now I'm going to drag a line over here, and I'll make the outline the same size as the border, so size 4. And I'm going to drag a rectangle around here. And for the fill, I'm going to select the sun's color over here. And maybe have the color a bit like this. So this is where we are going to store our sun. And now I'm going to select the sun and then Control C to copy it and go to the pea shooter icon and paste it, so Control V. And I am going to put it somewhere over here, and I'm going to drag this up a bit, and I am going to type 100 for the cost. Alright, so now if we take a look, our plant selection screen is looking a bit better. So we have a place where we can count our sun, and also we have a cost for our pea shooter. So now we want to display how much sun we currently have. So let's create a new variable, and I'll call this sun. And let's go to the stage, and I'm going to drag a when flag clicked, and let's set sun to 0. And now let's create a new sprite, and I'll call this sun counter. And then I'm going to type the numbers 1 through 9. So 1, and then I'm going to change this costume name to 1, and then right click duplicate, and then I'll type 2, right click duplicate. Alright, and lastly, we also want the digit 0. And let's change the costume name to 0. Cool. So now we have 10 costumes from 1 through 9 and also 0. Now inside of the code, let's drag a when flag clicked, and let's hide the original sprite. And I might set the size of this sprite to a bit smaller, so let's do something like 75%. And let's go to variables and create a new variable. So I'll call this digits, and select for this sprite only, and click OK. Now let's set digits to 1, and let's drag a repeat, change this to 5, and let's create a clone of myself, and also change digits by 1. And let's go to Control, drag a when I start as a clone, then go to looks and show. So now what this is doing is that now we have 5 clones of our digit over here. So we have these 5 clones, which is going to represent how much sun that we have in this variable. So now let's make the digits work. So inside of here, let's drag a forever loop, and let's first make them go to the correct place. So let's drag a go to XY, and for our X position, we want to center our digits in this square. So to do so, we have to go to operators, drag a plus, and then drag a times, and let's put negative 204 inside of here. And let's do digits times the space between each digit. So let's just make the digits spaced by, let's say, 10. And now let's drag this inside of the X. But now we don't want all of these digits to show. So we have to drag an if else inside of the forever loop, and then go to operators, grab a lesser than, and check if the length of our sun is less than digits, then we want to hide. Else, we just show it and switch costume to, let's go to operators and grab a letter 1 of operator, put it inside of here, and do letter digits of sun. So what this means is that since we have 5 clones, which is digits 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, we make each digit show or hide based off of how many digits we have in this sun variable. So this sun variable is going to have 1 digit because it's just 0. So we only want one of these clones to show, just like that. But let's say we set sun to 100. Then we are going to have 3 clones show, and they switch to the costume 100. So now that's pretty much how this works. We can set sun to like 568, and we have 568 for these digits. So now one thing is that these digits are not centered. If I change this x to make it maybe negative 220, then they are going to be centered right now. But if we set the sun to like 2, then as you can see, it's not in the center again. So to make sure the numbers are centered no matter how long the number is, we have to go to the sun counter sprite, and inside of here, we have to add a few more extra things. So inside of operators, let's grab a minus, drag this on the left, and do minus, and I'm going to right click, duplicate this part, put it on the right, and remove digits. And let's grab a divided by operator, put it inside of here. And let's grab a plus, put it inside of here. And let's grab a length of, go to variables, sun, drag it on the left, and plus 1 divided by 2. And keep this the same as this number over here. So I'm also going to create a new variable. I'll call this digit spacing, and then select for this by only and click OK. So this is the space between digits. Let's just set digit spacing to 10 under the when flag clicked, and let's drag digit spacing inside of here. Okay, so now this entire thing seems pretty confusing, but essentially what we did is that this allows our number to be centered no matter how long the number is. So let's drag this back, and now if we just try, okay, it's a bit too much to the left. So maybe let's do something like x negative 204 and maybe y 136. Okay, and now as you can see, we have 2 when sun is set to 2. But if we increase sun to, let's say, 255, then as you can see, this 255 is now centered, just like so. Awesome. And this also works for 4-digit numbers, let's say 9,500. And this is still centered. And same for 2-digit numbers, like so. So now we have a centered digit counter. And now we want to actually make sun fall from the sky and collect it and increase our sun. So I'm going to first go to stage, set sun back to 0, and then also hide the sun variable. And now let's go inside of our sun sprite. So I'm going to drag a when flag clicked, and then hide the original sprite. And I'm going to set size to maybe 80% just to make it a bit smaller. And now I'm going to go to control. Let's just wait 1 second. And then let's drag a forever loop, and forever, let's create clone of myself, and let's spawn a new sun every, let's say, 4 to 8 seconds. So pick random 4, or maybe 4 to 6 seconds. So now let's drag a when I start as a clone, then let's show the clone, and then let's also make it go to the front layer. Now let's go to motion, drag a go to XY, and let's make it go to Y 195, so the top of the screen, and X, let's go to operators, grab a pick random 2, let's say between negative 160 and positive 160. Now we want the sun to be rotating a bit while it's falling. So let's go to control, and let's drag a repeat, and we want to make the sun fall from the sky and stop anywhere between like here and here. So let's do repeat, pick random, let's say 40 to maybe 160. And let's go to motion and let's turn 1 degrees. And let's also change Y by -2. All right, now after that, let's go to control. Let's wait 3 seconds, and then let's start making the sun fade. So let's grab another repeat, and let's go to looks, and let's change the ghost effect by 2. And let's do repeat 50. So this is going to make the sun start to fade once it reaches the ground. And once it is completely faded, we then want to delete this clone. Okay, so now we have the animation of the sun completely done. Now let's try it out. So a sun's going to drop, and it's going to touch the ground, and then after a bit, it's going to start disappearing, just like so. Cool. And they can drop anywhere on the map. Okay, so now we want to be able to click the sun and then collect it. So back in the code, let's drag a when this sprite clicked, which is inside of events. And then we want to drag a stop all and change it to stop other scripts in sprite. And now after that, once we collect a sun, we want the sun to go towards our sun collection area, which is over here. So let's go to motion and drag a glide 1 seconds to block. Let's make it glide something like 0.4 seconds, and let's make it glide somewhere over here. So that's around x -204 and y 150, which I calculated beforehand. And after that, let's go to control, drag a repeat 10, and let's go to looks, and let's change ghost effect by 10. So it's going to fade. And then after that, let's go to variables, and we want to change sun by 25. So that's how much sun we're going to collect. And lastly, let's go to control and delete this clone. Okay, so now once we click on a sun, which is falling, then it's going to go over here, fade away, and then give us 25 sun. Awesome. And let's wait till the sun falls on the ground. And it still works when it's on the ground, just like that. Cool. Now, one more thing is that I do want the sun to increase and decrease in size a bit, just as an animation. So I'm going to right click and duplicate this. And I'm going to remove everything. And then I'm going to drag a forever loop and drag a repeat. And then I'm going to go to looks and drag a change size by block. And let's do change size by 0.5 and repeat 20. And then let's also drag a wait 0 seconds. Now I'm going to right click, duplicate this block, and do repeat change size by -0.5. And now it should increase and decrease in size a bit just to make it look a tiny bit better. And as you can see, it does a very slight increase and decrease in size constantly. Awesome. So now that we have sun, the last thing to do is that we want to make the plant cost sun. Because right now, we can place as many plants as we want, and our sun does not go down. So let's make that. So let's go to the pea shooter icon, and I'm going to drag a when this sprite clicked. So once we click on the icon, then we want to purchase it only if we have enough sun. So I'm actually going to take this part out and take these 2 blocks out and then remove this. Now inside of here, we want to check if. Let's go to operators, grab an and then grab an equals, and check if placing plant is equal to no, and if we have enough sun. So if not sun is less than the cost of the plant, which is going to be 100. So if we can afford the plant, then let's drag this back inside of the if, and actually let's drag a wait until, go to operators, not mouse down. And lastly, we also want to change sun by -100 because we purchased the plant. So now we are able to only purchase a plant if we have enough sun, just like that. Right now I cannot purchase it because it costs 100 sun. But once we have 100 sun or more, then we can purchase the plant. So let's wait a bit. All right, and as you can see, we can now place it, and our sun went back to 0, just like that. Awesome. Now one thing I do want to add is that inside of the pea shooter sprite, I also want to make sure that the pea shooter goes to the front layer, so I'm going to drag it inside of here. And also for the pea shooter pre-plant clone, I want to make it go to front layer and then go backwards one layer. So this is just to ensure that the plant and the shadow of the plant are in the correct ordering. Alright, now lastly, let's edit our ready set plant sprite. So if we just go inside of the costumes, we have these 3 costumes, which says ready set plant. And this is going to play at the start of every single game. So I'm going to show the sprite again, and then I'm going to drag a win flag clicked, go to looks, and show it, and then switch costume to the first costume. Now let's set its size to something a bit smaller, so 75%. And let's go to control, drag a repeat. Let's say repeat 15. And let's go to looks and drag a change size by 1. Now after that, let's switch costume to the next costume. And then let's right click, duplicate this. So set size by 75%, change size by 1 again, and then switch to the third costume. And then let's go to control, drag a wait 0.8 seconds, and then hide the sprite. And lastly, let's actually start the game. So let's go to events and let's broadcast a new message. I'll call this start game. Okay, so if you just try it right now, as you can see, we have this. And also I do want to make it go to 0, 0. So I'm going to add that in. And we have this ready set plant. But we don't want the game to start until this is done playing. So that's why I created this broadcast start game message. So I'm going to go to the zombie sprite. And instead of this win flag clicked, let's do when I receive, start game. But I'm also going to hide the original sprite when the flag is clicked. And I also want to go to the sun sprite. And I'm going to drag this part and drag it under when I receive, start game. And now the zombies and sun should wait until this is done playing. And as you can see, it works just like so. Awesome. Now the last thing is that the zombies spawn way too soon. So let's fix that. So inside of the zombie sprite, let's first wait, let's say 20 seconds before this forever loop. And then after that, let's go to operators and spawn a new zombie every 16 to 20 seconds. So this is going to give us some time when the game starts to just collect some sun to be able to eventually buy our pea shooters. But of course, in later videos, I am also going to add new plants such as sunflowers, where we can purchase and create even more sun, just to speed up the game. But for now, this is how we are going to collect sun. Alright, now we have our first zombie. Just like that. And we can collect sun falling from the sky. Okay, I can almost afford the next one. There we go. And now we can place our next one, just like so, and collect our sun. Awesome. Now we have a complete sun system where we can collect sun from the sky, and it adds to our current sun amount over here, where we can purchase pea shooters. And everything seems to work pretty fine. Let me purchase one more pea shooter. There we go. And I'll just place it, let's say, over here. And as you can see, the pea shooters don't shoot if there's no zombies in their lane. So as you can see, these 3 pea shooters are not shooting because there's no zombies, but this one is. And I also fixed the issue where overlapping zombies all get hit by a pea, but now only the frontmost zombie of each lane gets hit. And it also works with multiple pea shooters. Plus, I also reduced lag, so there isn't as much lag if there's a ton of zombies. And this many zombies is highly unlikely, so we don't have to worry about a bit of lag if there's this many. But yeah, only the frontmost zombie gets hit by the peas. But anyways, that's for this video. If you enjoyed it, then give it a thumbs up and subscribe too if you haven't already. In the next video, I'll be creating a sunflower as well as different types of plants and different types of zombies. Also, let me know in the comments what you want to see me add next. But anyways, that's it for this video. See ya!